All right, and here we go into match one, game two. This hand has zero disruption, but my opponent has mulligan to six. So that's a good sign for me because I could, like this hand is a good curve, it's just not fast, but since we're on the draw, I will go ahead and keep it because it has two signal pests. Etch Champion, which might be too slow, but I like the turn one Vault Scourge here. My opponent did take a mulligan, so I don't know, we'll see. Darksteel Citadel. Let's go ahead and play our signal or Vault Scourge so we can get in for one next turn. Pass the turn on back to my opponent. Now my opponent has land, so we'll get to see if I was correct about the Jeskai Ascendancy combo. If that's true, my hand is very bad. Maybe I should have mulliganed more aggressively for some disruption. Let's pop this out. I do like two signal pests next turn, though. Galvanic Blast. Hmm. Hmm. Let's go Darksteel double signal pest. Go ahead and swing one here. Next turn, I do not know if I want to play my Glimmer Void and pass, or if I want to play Etch Champion. I'm leaning towards Glimmer Void pass. Of course, depending on what my opponent does. So I don't want to give my opponent a window here to do something crazy. My opponent paths my creature, which they do not, so I did not think that my opponent would. If my opponent combos next turn, I'll feel pretty silly, but the choice there was between holding up a Galvanic Blast for 2, because I would only have had... No, I guess I could have had 3. So my opponent no longer wants to pay life. Which is good, actually. Well, now my opponent is taking a shock, so there's no Jeskai Ascendancy coming this turn, I would imagine, which makes me wonder why they decided to go ahead and probe using mana there instead of life, because if they could go off this turn, their life doesn't really matter. Young Pyromancer. Have I just been wrong this whole time and I'm playing as Delver? That's a possibility. Very distinct possibility. If I'm playing against Delver, I feel like my hand is actually pretty good. Cranial Plating is a pretty sweet draw there. Let's go ahead and play it while we can, because I'm interested in gaining a lot of life this turn if my opponent is on Delver. Maybe 3-color Delver, America Delver. Let's go ahead and always yield to these triggers. Hit my opponent for 8, 9, 10, which means next turn I can burn them out. and my opponent cannot block any of these creatures. Young Pyromancer changes everything here. Now, look, I'm going to be forced to eat my words as my opponent combos off next turn. But I guess they can't combo with only 3 mana. So let's just see what they do, I guess. Well, it doesn't matter. If they get rid of my creatures, I still have the Galvanic Blast. And I still have the Etched Champion. So I think what I'll do is on my... Oh, well, there we go. All right, we have our pack. I'll see you guys in the next match.